gratitude, a win.
I'm grateful for everyone's patience and their switch systems.
You're here. It's been weeks of training and learning, and yesterday at 11 a.m. they pressed go, and even with weeks of training, you never know entirely how it's going to go. Yeah, I'm grateful for you for sticking with it, getting us paid. What else?
I'm always thankful for Amanda. She's always there, able and willing to help me with anything that comes up. And I'm truly, even like she listens to me bitch, you know.
Someone's got to. Mike says amen.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes,
Thank you.
totally agree. Scott.
I'll just say, I'm grateful for this brokerage because I feel like we are ahead or on the coming changes better if you come to the trainings, if you, there are opportunities to learn and be prepared. And I also say Rich is a big part of that.
Yep.
And so I'm very grateful for this brokerage and specifically for Rich.
Amen. Amen. We had, I don't know how many of you tuned into the NAR open house with KW leadership yesterday. I'm seeing a handful of nodding heads. We had some other non-KW agents in there, and they were texting me like, can you send me the recording, send me the PDF? Like, this is the first time I've been part of any sort of conversation where I feel like leadership is actually helping me to think through the issues. So I second that on a high level and on a local level as well. You guys probably get tired of seeing, oh gosh, we're doing another buyer agency class. Like, yeah, because we need to do another buyer agency class. It's that timely. Good one. Let's get another one. Rachel, are you auctioning?
I'm saying he's making fun of me. Finally signed one buyer agency agreement.
It's not just gonna be under the bus today.
Or dig, Rachel, I can't quite tell.
You decide.
Oh, progress
Cindy
over
has to come with
perfection.
it, okay?
That's great. That's amazing. Awesome. Just a PSA as we get started, we are testing going live with a new camera that has a microphone there. So that's for our Zoom folks who often say, hey, I can't hear what the person in the back is asking. So we're trying to enhance that. So if you're
The caveat is everybody around, if you have individual conversations, it's gonna pick it up and put it on Zoom.
yeah, so Amanda mentioned we're cracking all these jokes up here.
Just FYI.
So yeah, be good classmates, good teammates here. Any other gratitude? Any other wins you want to share before we keep moving? We welcome, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. We are doing a fun little thing today. I posted a video in the Facebook group yesterday. Summer Masterminds are coming up July 16th, which happens to be my birthday. And we're giving away a couple of tickets today. And the way that you enter is if there's another agent who's not with KW that you like, whether you just did a deal with them and said, hey, I'd love for Mark to call and thank them on my behalf, or you just think that they're awesome. And you'd like for me to call and tell them that on your behalf. Write your name and their name down. You can do up to 2, but no more than 2. So not good. Thank you. So you've done so many, so I keep track of them. Taken pass. We'll collect at the end, and then we'll draw. You guys might have to wait for some others to get around. We'll draw at the end. Summer Masterminds again, July 16th up in Independence. It's going to be a great day.
2 on 1 card?
I'll do 2 separate cards. Sarah O.G. Reynolds, Aaron Kaufman, Tony Giordano, and a handful of area top producers, including a few of our own. So if you're not already signed up, please do. After today, if you find out that you haven't won, that's going to be a fun thing. A few new faces to welcome, a few of whom are in the room. So we're excited to welcome Joey Radaba, who's joining us in our Worcester area office. Excited to welcome Will Hughes, who's with us here today. And then Rich, is it Leon or Leone?
In the old country, it's Leone, but here we say Leone.
Okay, you just tell me what boss. Okay. So welcome to the 2 of you and to Joey as well. Let's give it. For 2, that's professional bunch. Glad to have you guys. Cassandra, come on up.
Hello. So May was our highest profit share month ever. at $66,081.68, and we were what number overall?
We are number 31 in the entire country in profitability and profit share year to date. So every month they publish a top 35 list, and last month we made 35. This month we made 31. So good work to you all for selling houses, and thanks Cassandra for keeping our expenses down. Keeping me in line and my fancy lunches and stuff.
All right, our May cappers were Brianna Beasley, Ryan Tappan, Apt, and Marcy Clee.
Yeah, with a name like Captain.
You got
Yeah.
it.
No pressure.
We also have Tracy Pangrazio, Diana Porterfield, Stephanie Webb.
I think that's it.
I don't.
Yeah, let's give it a hand. Pretty sure that,
And here are our top producers. Again, too many of you for me to read off in this meeting, but great work. It is super impressive while the market is down and everything that's happening externally. You guys are controlling what you can and always improving.
big list. It's a big list.
While I'm up here, commission requests have changed a little bit. There's a couple more nitpicky details. Admittedly, it probably won't happen today or tomorrow, but I'm going to work on getting you guys a video and some updated instructions. I know the ones from KWRI aren't exactly how all of you were taught, but there's something in the meantime. So let me know if you have any questions. It's usually, there is an error message for everything. It's just a couple more steps than you're used to.
Blow on it, bang the side of it.
Fix some stuff.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Thanks.
Failing together. Thanks, Cassandra.
Sorry.
All right, when you're making calls and texts and reaching out to your database, do so in a TCPA friendly way. Always check the do not call list. I did your heavy lifting for you.
Yes, I appreciate it. Well, and I think something new just came out. I didn't follow up yet on it, but there's an email that we got something. There's something new with this going on that we all have to be aware of with real estate agents. I will get an email out to you, but I have something in my inbox that I need to read. There is something new that just got passed with this in our auto dialers and all these wonderful problems that we're having with these. So I'll get some more out to you, but all right, let's go on to the next one so I can remember what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, VA Buyer Agent Commission. So if you guys have been to the classes, the VA has temporarily suspended that a veteran agent, or I'm sorry, a veteran cannot pay a real estate commission or the 295 additional commission. So as you're meeting with your VA buyers, you can now get them to sign a buyer agency agreement and you can get paid. So that's really important for FHA and VA, because I know there was a question, how are you gonna get paid for VA? And now you can't. It's a temporary suspension. I think they said they only suspended it for 2 years. And the reason for that is because the government's got to come up with a new way to figure out whether or not they will continue to allow us to get paid that way, or what's all gonna happen as the settlement comes to an end, hopefully. Eric?
Are we gonna waive the buyer fee for that in 295 or we?
I would not continue to waive the fee. You're welcome to continue to waive that 295 fee if you have somebody complaining about it. I'd rather see you get paid something. So if you can negotiate that, great. If you can't, I don't think we'll wait for Cassandra, but we're not gonna ding you for it as we don't on VA transactions. So if you collect it, it's just more money in your pocket. If you don't, you won't. Okay. Good question. Yeah, contract commission document. So I guess I confused everybody over the weekend with the newsletter if you read it. So you had asked the question, is there a document that we can add to our purchase agreement or include with our purchase agreement about commission and how that's paid? Whether it's buyer paying it, seller paying it, what's the total commission that you're getting paid? Well, Ohio Realtors is ahead of us. They already have that document. It's been uploaded in .loop. It's available for your use. I added it to the sales documents last week or the week before. And that document is for you to be able to say, okay, I'm writing an offer on a property and we want the seller to pay $3,000 in commission. The buyer's gonna pay $3,000 in commission. The total commission is $6,000. The buyer and seller both sign that document. And it's for you to be able to negotiate in case you're going up on a listing that is offering $0 in commission, or perhaps they are offering something, but because it's not in the MLS, we don't have a contract anymore. This document that is in the sales folder will provide you a guaranteed, hey, the seller's aware of what they're paying, the buyer's aware of what they're paying. So I've already had, in fact, as of this morning, a conversation with one of our agents that a buyer thought they weren't gonna have to pay, even though they signed a buyer agency agreement. And now they don't wanna close on the transaction because they have to pay us. So that is gonna happen. This is all new to everybody. I encourage you to use that form. It does not guarantee that a seller will pay a commission. That was the confusing part. A seller doesn't have to pay a buyer agent commission. This form, though, allows you to ask for the seller to pay a buyer agent commission. And even if they're offering it, let's just say that, you know, the agent saying, yes, the buyer, or the listing agent saying, yes, we're offering $5,000. This just confirms that the seller is going to pay this brokerage on your behalf. Okay, so hopefully that clears up a little bit of the confusion. Was there any questions about that form?
I have a question about, so if I'm listing agent and I secure 6% or something like that, and do I still need to, we've always put what each side, if we're gonna share with a co-broke, we put that in there. Do we need to now with new listing agreements? Because you're saying that the seller might not pay a commission, but if I've got the agreement between me and them, I can still give it. So I'm just trying to get clear.
Yeah, the listing agreement, the new listing agreement will have buyer agent commission, listing agent commission, dual agent commission. So it will offer all of those. So if you take a listing that you're doing 3% and 3%, that would be on the listing agreement.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But I would also follow up with the form that we have available in Dotloop for you to say the seller has agreed to pay X amount. The buyer's paying 0, whatever that would be. It's just to keep everybody on the same page so that a buyer is well aware that when they come to closing, that they are bringing money to the closing table to pay you as the same as the seller. Erica?
So it's not that it's necessarily going in the contract because it's negotiable, you're just confirming what was advertised wherever it was advertised.
No. So, sorry, I'm gonna come and do this for just a
Yeah,
few
no,
minutes.
you
Okay.
got.
So the MLS used to be the contract in which an agency got paid to another agency. That's going away. So we don't have anything that says how much, we don't even know where we're gonna publicly put yet, if we're going to be able to. If you were on the open house yesterday, clearly Keller Williams is not coming up with a way to advertise the commissions.
Right.
So we will have to do that at a local brokerage level, and we have a few ideas. This form is just designed to say, let's say, for example, you're out working with a buyer and you procured a buyer agency agreement that says it's 3%. But all of a sudden you call the listing agent on this listing and they say, oh no, the seller is willing to pay a 2% commission or whatever the case would be. When you're negotiating your offer, you will notice that Howard Hand is the only company that has commission in their purchase agreement, where nobody else did. And there was a reason for that, is because the purchase agreement is between a buyer and a seller. It's not between the brokerages. We had the MLS for that. We no longer have that. We need the security of this form that says that, yes, though Scott agreed to pay me as I'm his buyer's agent, 3% of the commission, but the seller is willing to pay 2%. So now when I'm writing up the offer, I'm clearly defining the seller is paying 2%, Scott's now paying me 1%, because that procures my total 3%. That is the reason for the form.
But then how does that work with if you've already gotten your buyer or agency agreement in place and your buyer has agreed to pay a 3%, but now that form is saying something else? Does that trump the?
Because our buyer's agency agreement will be saying that the buyer agrees to pay 3% of the purchase price less any amount paid by the seller. That's why you will not need an addendum. You won't need anything. This form will serve for that. Yeah. But we are working on buyer agency agreements. We're working on listing agreement. We're working on amending the purchase agreement. We will have all of this in place hopefully by the end of July. So before the August 17th deadline.
Can that document be uploaded in supplements so people can see it, or is that,
It's, well,
I mean, just.
sure.
On,
It's an Ohio Realtors form. You can do
no,
whatever.
I
you
mean,
want.
on your listing,
Sure.
like, so
Absolutely.
that would be a way to disclose
Yep.
what commission the seller is offering, even though.
I don't see why not until we get told we can't do
Yeah,
it.
right.
I mean, this is all new, so I would say
Right.
let's check these avenues. It can't hurt to maybe upload that form. And at the same time, I would say they could stop us. So we can try it, to your point, yes. Yep. And then just buyer agency updating, basically that's the update is. On the forms, we will have them soon. We will continue.
I put on buyer agency.
If you guys do have questions, I would say come to the classes. So, okay.
Read your emails, come to classes.
And then pay your board dues by the end of this month, so you don't get a late fee, please. You don't wanna pay it? That's fine. Jose, you gotta pay his.
Okay. You and Aaron have kind of a nice oral tone. Scott's Jason there too. As we invite up Sam, from American
Oh.
Title Solutions, I realized a couple other welcomes I didn't include, so I want to welcome Robbie Criswell, who passed his exam last week, so he's on the June list, but welcome Robbie. And then I want to welcome Andy Ogletree, who's visiting us today, who's getting ready to test soon, so welcome Andy, we're glad to have you. All right, Sam. Stalled long enough.
Look at that,
Look at that.
American Title. Okay, hi, I'm Sam with American Title Solutions, the very first time I'm saying that in this building. Andrea's on vacation, so I'm running the show. I figured today I would just do kind of frequently asked questions since the merger, because there's been a lot of questions, okay? I wrote some in my notes. This office is staying the exact same. It still exists, it's still there. Phone number is still the same. So your people are still calling the Canton office. Make sense? If they would call the other American Title Solutions offices, they can be transferred to this office, okay? But your people can still use that number. We refer to this as South American. Yeah. Right? Yeah, so we have North American, South America, and Middle East. So
That's Boardman.
yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, so just so you know, so
Oh,
this
Siberia.
is the Canton American office. We've got Fairlawn, Solon, and Boardman. So with that, your clients or any closings can happen in any of those locations. Just because you're doing a deal up here with Melissa Huff or Courtney, but your person lives in Akron, they can drop off the earnest money there. They can drop it off here. You guys can close there. You can close here. Cool with that?
I love that.
Also, there are some questions about earnest. So our website is americantitlesolutions.com. It is the exact same website that Stonegate had. It just says American Title Solutions. So right on the homepage, your clients can deposit their earnest money just like they did before at no cost to them. Up in resources is a contract to close. That has been a question that I've gotten. Resources, there's a PDF that walks you and your clients through the process. Also the POS is on there. So if you ever need to look up a POS, point of sale. Sam signed POS in the meeting. Okay, last thing, two more things. Our people over there will sometimes ask for your IDs when you're picking up checks. They don't know all of y'all. So, there's been some feelings about that. So if you could just have your ID, that would be great. We do that for the protection of everyone. That's what we ask for your clients and for you when we're handing out checks. Okay, the last thing is ABAs. I just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. If you are a legacy agent, you're always going to send us an ABA if you're closing a deal with us, okay? You are either going to have a legacy ABA, or if you're a partner with American Title, you're going to have your name on the ABA. There should be no one at this brokerage that submits a deal without an ABA, okay? So if it is Aaron Roby with someone that's a non-partner, you both have to have an ABA because you have an agreement with us. And someone that's a non-partner is a member of Legacy Group. So two separate, okay? With that, we cannot start title work until we receive your client's ABA. Okay, any questions on that? Because there's a lot of confusion about that. Yes,
So if I'm doing a deal with Rich,
yep,
can we take one ABA and add our name to it?
no.
Okay.
No, have separate ones.
Okay.
So there's really no reason that anyone should be uploading their ABAs into the supplements. Like somebody who's already a partner with American is
Yes,
uploading
because
their stuff
Buyer
into,
still has to sign it.
I'm doing my own with my client.
Yeah, I would still update it, or I would still put it in the supplements. One, it's telling the other agents that that's the title company you want to use, right? They're gonna get it signed at close or at the offer, hopefully.
Right.
And it might not be someone that's a partner and we would only use yours. Does
Okay,
that make sense?
so if they're, well, it doesn't matter.
You
Well,
guys, if
I-
you have the question, somebody else does.
So if you're both a partner,
You both need one, because you
Your
both
own.
have,
or you both can sign the same one.
no, you
You
both
both
have
need
your
your
own agreement, because some people have their own LLCs.
Right,
Right?
okay.
You don't look clear.
Well, I'm not, but I'll just keep going.
Okay.
It's fine.
And you only need your own client on the ABA, correct? You don't need the other party.
Technically, yes, we would love both sides to sign, but if your client sign one and the Kellys sign theirs, then we can start title work.
Okay, I was just saying because I've always seen it's like to the buyer, it's like if I'm just on the buying side, I only need my buyer's sign address.
Technically, that is correct, but we always get those.
We like technicalities.
Yeah. Anything else? Does that clear up some confusion?
Is South American Title Solutions exclusive to Legacy Group as far as like,
Not anymore.
No.
okay.
Nope.
Part of the reason we were.
But you have to speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
okay, any other questions? Does that make sense?
Sam, you're the best. Let's give it up. Bobby coming up and going back. Yeah, we are so fortunate to have title partners that are true partners with us. So thanks to Sam and Andrea, wherever on earth you are. All right, with that, I want to invite up Carly Bailey, Preston Donahue, and Joel Gladys to the hot seat. Yeah. You were ready. I'm ready to position. I'll just sit first. All right, so I'm excited for today's conversation. Many of you saw countless emails, posts. I might have nagged you about it, but we recently completed Bold. What, 2 weeks ago? Not quite 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't know. May 22nd. That's what it was. More than that.
Yeah.
Gosh, time's flying. I just had a baby. What is time anymore? This conversation is not a Bold specific conversation. So you may be saying, I didn't go to Bold, I don't want another Bold commercial. So much as to say, what lessons were learned that could be shared to shape how we do what we do. One of the things that I love about KW is that we don't think there's any secrets for why someone's winning. So we like to share. Before we kind of dive into the conversation, Carly, we'll start with you ladies first. Who are you? A little bit about the kind of life, family, what should people know? How long have you been doing real estate? Start us there.
Okay, so I'm Carly Bailey and I've been doing real estate for a little over 10 years now. I have 3 kids, Keegan, Kellen, and Colby, 10, 8, and 3. My life is very busy between kids and travel sports and work and all of that good stuff, so.
Cool. Awesome. Preston?
I'm Preston Donahue, been doing real estate for 5 years now. Initially got into it because I wanted to invest in real estate, but I ended up just falling in love with this, so now I do both. And I'm a new dad, so.
That's right.
Just running around and keeping busy. So
Lauren
good
is
stuff.
7 weeks?
7 weeks yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, mine's 8 weeks, so I can kind of like, okay, we're close, yeah. Joel?
My name's Joel Gladys. I'm with the Ginger King team. I just hit my 2-year mark in real estate. By trade, since high school, I was a local fireman, still am. Work full-time for a local fire department here, so co-occupation. Yeah, that's about it. No wife or kids or anything like that, so I don't know how you guys deal with real estate. But
Cool. As a second intro question for each of you, which I think I did prep you with. So Bold, how many of you have taken Bold before in some form or fashion? A lot of you, okay. Bold is not so much what's the thing that I need to do right now to change my business. It's who am I? How am I wired? What are the stories that I believe? What baggage do I bring to my work that shapes how I do what I do? So I'd love to hear vulnerably or reflectively, briefly, what was one thing that you most had to unlearn or diagnose about yourself as you started that experience? Rock, paper, scissors.
I'll say for me, a lot of it was more reflective on kind of unwiring kind of a mindset that I had bred myself to, believe was the key to what I thought was going to be the key to my success in real estate for the past 2 years. And a lot of things that I had told myself and the thought processes that kind of drove me to do the different things that I've done to this point. What I had kind of been exposed to with, David Jones and the team that we had, that we were on and being held accountable with each week was that, there's no perfect algorithm, or there's no perfect sequence to the way that any one of us finds success or finds the right path to get where we're all trying to go. So it's more trying to open my mind. You know, we did like a little exercise each week where we, you know, held our fist out and said, like, here at week 1, we're here with this closed fist, and you know, this is what your mind is right now, you know. And then as each week went by, we started to learn that if you hold your hand open, and everything that's kind of fallen from the sky that you have at your disposal to leverage to your benefit, is going to be huge towards your growth and development. So for me, that was where it was.
Preston, how about you? What do you need to learn?
I tend to overcomplicate things sometimes. Who knows? But like it really brought me back to the roots and the basics. Like I've never done bold up until this time, and I've been doing it for 5 years. Always kind of something I wanted to try, but nothing I just did. You almost told me not to.
I did.
Because you're like, oh yeah, the baby on the way. I was like,
Maybe it was reverse psychology.
so Sarah told me to do it. But it was nice because it kept me firmly like rooted in the foundation of what you just need to do and just keep doing, and just kind of building that just building the foundation, and stop doing the shiny object thing, and just focus on the foundation, and the rest kind of follows. That's kind of what brought me back down to that.
Carl, how about you?
Yeah, mine was a lot around, mindset and how I've been doing this a little over 10 years, and my business is just ran off of my sphere of influence, and I'm such a relationship-based person. And one of the things we learned very early on was being friend zoned, and kind of thinking through that and working through that, and how.
Tell us what that means for real estate. For you.
So being friend zone means that when you come to mind, instead of somebody thinking of me as Carly the realtor first, they're thinking of me as Carly the friend. And the reasoning behind that, sometimes we're too friendly with our clients, or maybe people that we've done business with, and we're reaching out to them and we're not having conversations about real estate, or we're not asking for business or referrals. It's really purely like friendship based, and you can have that relationship, but how do you incorporate like who you are? How do you incorporate your business into those conversations? And I found that it was always, there was a visual, and there was a red circle, and then there was a bunch of blue, and it's like, we want to be the red dot. How can we be a red dot, and with all the blue dots around us? And I know that's where I struggle personally, because I'm really great at relationships and I'm friends with everybody and it's really good. But for me, I'm not like putting myself out there and asking my friends, right? Like I'm not calling these people and saying, do you know somebody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate right now?
Buy, sell.
Yeah. Buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it was retraining how I look at my sphere of influence, and also my relationships in general, and just have different conversations around that.
I'm gonna pause with them for a second. In camp, I've got some points here. We're gonna move to the next slide in a minute. Stories we believe. We all have stories that we believe. Most of them were formed many of them were formed before we were 8 or 10 years old. From the homes we were raised in, the experience we had as a child, the way mom and dad talked about X or didn't talk about X, the way we view our level of competence. Oh, I'm not book smart, whatever that means. I'm not good with numbers. I'm an introvert, therefore. Now, we all have stories that we believe that keep us from doing the things that we do. So I'd love just to take a second to consider, what's the story. And there's lots of them. Like we all have 10 plus. Like our lives are littered with stories. No one's story free. That shape the choices that I make or don't make. Think about it for a second, and I'd love to hear a few people chime in on that. Limiting stories that we've subconsciously kind of internalized over the years that might keep us from where we could go. Okay, can I have 3 people venture to share a limiting story that they have internalized. Jose just avoided eye contact with me. I won't ask. Yeah, Tara.
I was raised that confrontation was a bad thing. And whenever you disagree with someone, only negative experiences for everyone will fall after that. I've learned in here that sometimes whenever you disagree with someone, whether it be an agent or a client, sometimes those are the stronger relationships you end up having later on.
Yeah.
We have a strong marriage.
Can I ask, going back to the story, was that story an implicit story or an explicit story? Meaning, did your parents write up on the side, a sign in your room, "We don't fight," or how did that show up for you?
I mean, I was right, yeah, I mean, we were told, just don't fight.
Yep.
Be a good girl.
Yep.
And that's how we were raised.
Conditioned to be conflict avoidant, which
Yes.
you don't want to be a bulldog and you don't want to be an avoider, and we all have families. That's a great one. Our relationship with conflict, we all have stories related to that. It's a really good one. Did I begin to see a hand over here? No? Who else has one? Going for three. I think there's a lot of stories that I believe. I think one is, I can overplay my strengths to avoid my weaknesses. Oh, I'm a people person, therefore, I'm not good at this. The email, the follow through, the checklist thing, and so I can choose to avoid that by internalizing that narrative for sure. The conflict avoidant one is a big one for me as well. My parents, an interesting one for me is my dad was deaf. He's a lip reader and my mom reads lips as well. So when they would have a hard conversation, it was silent growing up. Which was basically the subtext was, we don't raise our voices, we don't disagree with one another. Mom and dad would be like, "Hey, can you leave the room?" And they were gonna have a silent conversation that none of us could hear. So a similar message, though I would imagine it was different in its conveying. Kayla.
I think for me, participating in bold, like the main thing, especially in our careers, is like the calling, you're being an inconvenience or interrupting somebody's day, you're an annoyance. And I think like week after week, when we had that call time, it was so cool to see like all the stories surface of, well, they were thinking about this, it's been on their mind, it's one of the things on their checklist, but they just didn't have time to call me or ask or didn't think about, and my call actually took that off their plate, or my call added value. And
Totally.
that was, something that, really goes through.
Yeah, well, that's a story 90% of us believe is I'm gonna inconvenience them by calling them. How many of us have bought into that script before and then found perhaps the opposite to be true and found that maybe they were delighted to hear us call, depending on the situation. The quotes beneath there, we're gonna move on to the next one in a second. These are bold laws. So ourselves eavesdrop on our thoughts, meaning if I internalize a certain story, my body shows up a certain way. If I believe that people are gonna be inconvenienced or frustrated or annoyed at me calling them, my body is gonna believe that as well. I'm gonna show up physically in that same way, which I think is a fascinating truth. All right, the role of visualization. You guys don't all three need to share, but in real estate, we talk about our big why. And for some of us, it might feel squishy or touchy-feely, or like, can I just get back to work? But understanding what motivates you and what you're actually aiming for and who you actually want to be helps you stay committed to what you need to be doing. So I'd love to hear at least one of you talk about your experience with visualization. What did you do? How did it shape you and impact your experience? Carly, you look ready.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready. So we did an exercise when we were in Bold, and it was a visualization exercise where we kind of closed our eyes and we're like walking through the woods and you're going over the hill. And next thing you know, you see somebody in the distance and you get a little bit closer and it's your future self. and you get to have a conversation with your future self during this visualization exercise that we did. And that was, for me, it was very eye-opening. A lot of my conversation was, it wasn't about real estate, and I think Chris kind of related. It was more about our, because he did both too, and we it was about family. And you know, for me, I was like, you know, did my kids, like, did I spend enough time with my kids? Was I present enough for my kids? Did I teach my kids, you know, the value of hard work? A lot of it had to do with family. I get a little bit emotional just thinking about it, because my family is my why. They're the reason, that the thing that drives me, but also it can be the thing that holds me back, because I'm afraid to take my business to the next level, because I don't want to miss out on, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose time with my kids to be all.
Which is a story.
Yes,
Mhm.
so, but through this visualization exercise that we did, it was really eye-opening, and it really gave me a time to reflect and figure out, you know, how I want my business to look, and how I can still run a successful real estate business and be a good mom and present. And I actually shared this, we had a little meeting prior to, but I did this exercise with my younger son, my 10-year-old son, and he actually had a really great experience from doing the visualization exercise with me. And he made a really big decision in his 10-year-old life regarding like a hockey team and a choice between the two, but he was able to do this with me. And then he made a decision on his own, a really tough decision as a 10-year-old, but he did it, and that was really good for me, so.
That's cool. Either of you guys want to add to that? No pressure, but.
Mine didn't, well, I can say it's just like, just because my mind is, it's like when he started the visualization, I started, but then just how my mind just naturally just wanders off. Like when they were doing that whole thing, I was just sitting there like, well, I'm lost.
Yeah.
And then I just started on my
Lost in the
It was just what it was. Yeah. It was like, I think a week or two after the baby, so of course, I'm just,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And I came out of it sobbing. I was like,
Yeah.
Tissue, please.
Well, and I think the question is, how is what I'm doing today, the choices I'm making or not making, contributing to or robbing from my 5-year from now self? And it's not like a go sell more houses. It could be, no, I need to spend more time with my children. Because that's a core part of who I am, and I can't show up 5 years from now having provided much for them, but having no relationship with them. Like that doesn't work. So it's not a business specific thing so much as a bringing the future into the present sort of activity. Rewriting negative thoughts. So the bold laws change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Talk about rewriting negative thoughts. What negative thoughts do you have? And talk to us about the exercise you participate in to rewrite those thoughts. I'm gonna look to you, Joel.
Yeah, so I think it can apply to a multitude of any of our daily tasks and the things that we know we need to get done, or that we say we have to do this in order to be able to sustain, life and what we're trying to accomplish, just from a financial and just a normal life means. So I think I had brought up the example of how easy it is to kind of get lost in the mix of going to an appointment or going into a phone call, a conversation, or whatever it is, and kind of, at least for me, I'll be completely honest, it's very easy to kind of already start off on like the wrong end of the spectrum of being a little bit negative about how you perceive the result might go. And I mean, that's 100%, that's, a big accountability for me, that you start thinking that you're going to lose going into something, your odds of losing are way up here from where they should have been. You haven't even made it to where you were going. So from that perspective, we said, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Instead of, I have to make these calls, I get to make these calls, or the people that I get to meet and that I get to build relationships today is not a burden. It's not going to be, I don't look at it as fatiguing or just time consuming, but it's it's the positive, the nurturing that you're going to get out of that for the long term. So having that positive, kind of like the energy that you said you're reciprocating, that's 100% going to reflect into the people that you're ultimately trying to show value to and to build good relationships with. So
did either of the other two of you have a negative thought that you rewrote?
I did.
Go ahead, Carly, and Preston.
Well, my negative thought was I can't grow my business to the level I want without sacrificing my role as a mother. And my reframe thought was by growing my business and taking my career to the next level, I am showing my kids the meaning of hard work and I will be able to fund a life we love.
Great. Preston, how about you?
Mine is just kind of the general, just how I view people looking at me. It's like, sales guy. He's like, oh God, here he comes.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm going to like a graduation party, it's like, there's a realtor, guess what he's gonna talk about?
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, just reframing, it's like, the first thing they saw about me was not realtor, it was just me. And like, they had an activity where you wrote what you saw about yourself on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then the other, another blank piece of paper, just tape it to your back, and this is just what other people. And that was like the first thing everybody.
What other people see in you.
Yeah, and the first thing that people, or the majority of thing was a great dad. I'm like, that hit me hard. But yeah, just kind of realizing like, people don't think of me as like, not going to like the friend zone thing, but like, they don't think of me as like a burden of this like,
yeah,
it's just, you know, then he does real estate, not like, this is what he's gonna be here for, kind of a thing.
Yeah, we all, if I had a nickel for every time someone says, oh, I don't want to be the salesy person, I don't want people to think this, I'm like, well, is that what you are? Because if that's what you are, then you have problems. But if you actually believe in the value that you provide, that you believe that you're actually a professional, you're actually able to step into that. Does that mean someone might tell you off from time to time? Yeah, it's still a risk. But how much are we missing out on by living under that negative thought, as opposed to, I'm a value bringing real estate professional who's prepared to help people every step of the way. You show up in a different room rather than I'm a, you know, slimy salesman that people are gonna avoid. Those are two different perspectives. Couple other just kind of quick bold thoughts. I'd love one of you to kind of interpret it or jump into it. So breakthrough comes after the breakdown. What does that mean and how does it hit you? Joel?
So Liz Sanders was also on our team, and she was the first person I kind of thought of, because I think this one resonated very hard with her, or deeply with her. And we've, you know, had a very good conversation about it, but it was kind of alluding to the fact of how, you know, you can, you know, the struggles and the problems and the drama that can kind of escalate and build up, and the pressure that you start to put on yourself at any given point, depending on what you have, you know, balancing between your own personal life, your business, and everything in between, is bringing yourself back to ground level and knowing that we're going back to the building blocks, the foundation, everything that your business is built upon. And not, you know, stopping at the point where you feel like there's no point to beyond there. You know, when you're at the point where you feel like there's, you know, I can't possibly get any further, that once you reach that threshold and you hit that ceiling, that's when the true movement, the true development and the growth is going to happen, and not just you know, falling into the slump of, you know, quitting essentially, or allowing yourself to have the, you know, the setback more or less. So kind of, it's a very good reflective thought of knowing when things are very difficult, that you know, if it's painful, if it hurts, then you're in a good spot, because hopefully the next step up is going to be something really, really good.
Preston, I want you to take logic makes people think, emotion makes them act. What does that mean? What does that mean for you?
Well, I was gonna say, because the one before that is the one I chose every week.
All right, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that one resonated with me the most, because
your business grows to the extent that you do. Tell us more about that.
Because I feel like I got out of more of bold a lot differently than what other people got out of. I know it was like more like personal development for a lot of people, but I took a step back from real estate and focused more on just personal life, because I'm like, I'm just stressed all the time. Even when I leave the office, I'm going home stressed. I'm like, it's not cool. So I was like, I'm just gonna kind of slow down and just focus on myself, eating healthier, you know, working out, just being healthier. Yeah, just everything. And then my business will grow off of that. And ever since Bold, you know, it kept me in line, just doing the regular stuff, but I did take a step back, but I'm the busiest I've ever been. So if I'm not stressed at all about it, so it's just, it's good. Just kind of
personal growth and business growth run parallel.
Yeah.
Not necessarily at the same pace all the time, but they run together. Carly, can you talk with us about overcoming call bias, DTD2? What is it? What does it mean for you?
So I struggle with call bias. I didn't really realize that that was something that I had, or like, I didn't understand what call bias was, but it's when you don't wanna call a person because you are already anticipating a negative reaction, or you're not calling somebody because you feel like, you're gonna be a burden, or, you know, they're not gonna wanna help you, or you haven't spoken to them in 3 months or 3 years, or however that looks like, and it's preventing you from making these phone calls that you should be making. So,
Tell us about DTD2.
okay, so, we were, DTD2 is you're calling your database based upon like, the alphabet. So, every week you break it up so that you can hit your entire sphere based upon the letter of their last name. And so that way you are constantly connecting to everybody in your sphere, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I think if we were to do an exercise right now, all right, let's call the first 50 people on our phone, we're all gonna, have Dr. Pinson's. And we all naturally do that, and there's some that we might need, okay, I could delete that number, but who might I be missing out on being in business with? Tell us the call that you made week 1.
Okay.
And kind of how that helped you think differently about it.
Okay, so we were doing a scripting call, and we basically were just calling people in our phone, in our sphere, telling them we were in a competition, and if we were able to get 10 referrals, we could win. And it was a script that we practiced. And I was getting ready, I was going through, and I saw my real estate photographer's name and number, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah, why would you call them? They know a million real estate.
That's kind of what I thought. I was like, why would she give me business? Like, she works with other realtors. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call her. And so I called her and I told her about it, and she actually gave me a lead of an aunt that was getting ready to sell her house, and I just closed on her aunt. You know, it was a $350,000 lead that I would have never got had I not made that phone call. So that was really eye-opening for me. And
everyone's gonna call Sam LaFew or Kayla or Cliff. Hey.
But then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna start, calling more people, because, like, you know, you're like, same with Sam, like, oh, she works with, like, why would they, or my lender, why would, you know, but I'm like, now I'm like, I'm just gonna call them. What's the worst they're gonna say? Or I'm gonna get a lead out of it.
What's the worst they could say?
Yeah.
Exactly. Joel, I'm gonna have you take us home before we transition here. This was the quote that hit you, and as you shared it, it hit me. Commitment to a goal is only real once the emotion of setting that goal has fallen away. What does that mean, and what's it mean to you?
Yeah, so when it comes to goal setting in general, I'm the worst person ever at this. I've told everybody on my team that, if you say so, right? I don't know, like, and very important to have goals, but I think that coming out of goal, I now understand that it does not matter how generic or how specific or itemized your goal list is for your business or your own personal life. It is important to have them, because that's kind of what you can then backtrack on them based off of how you adjust your systems, your behaviors, and your actions on a daily basis to try and get there. And even the ones that you don't get to, as long as you're closer to them, it's the acknowledgement that you're still way better than where you were when you started. So with relation to the quote itself, you know, I'm guilty as anybody else that, you know, you say you're going to do something or that you want to accomplish something, and that's a goal that we have set, you know, maybe just verbally in our heads. And, you know, it's how long is it going to be? Maybe 2 weeks, 2 months, or maybe even longer than that. But before it's no longer something that you're continuing to chase after, right? Okay, it's something that you're committed to up until you've met the threshold of, you're like, yeah, you know, it's not worth it anymore. And you just kind of fall back into your old ways, your old systems, whatever it was. So that resonated, for one, to understand that if I'm going to set a goal, no matter how few, how broad or generic it may be, to recognize that even as exciting as it may be when I write it down or when I journal it or just commit it to somebody else on my team, whatever it is, that, you know, it's going to get hard at some point. It's not a question of when, or if, but when. And it's the consistency of staying committed to what you promised yourself to do, keeping your promises to yourself. So
that's a good word. Awesome. Let's give a hand to these folks. You're dismissed. And I think for you all, as you listen, you're like, okay, that's great. I'm glad they had that experience. I think the question for you is, what am I not doing in my business that if I started doing would make a meaningful difference towards my goal? Yeah, well, I'm just a SOI based person, or X. What am I not doing or not you know, what am I doing or not doing that's keeping me from moving to the next level? And you all have it, you know, it sounds like, no, I'm good, like every single person in this room has that, so the next moment you run into, I don't wanna call that person, what's beneath that, or I don't want to do this, what's beneath that? I think this sort of thinking will help, so the next time Bold comes around, sign up, or I'd be glad to meet with you and kind of talk through some of those things as well. Miss Gina, come on up. Oh. The Gina notification.
That's right. Well, I had a thought about Bold as well, before I talk about what I came to talk about today. I remember a couple of Bolds ago, talking about the same kind of thing with goal setting. And I read something in a book yesterday that reminded me of it that I thought I would also share. I think it was Scott Toombs. His name, Scott Toombs. He told a story about writing a letter to yourself, two letters to yourself. It's a great exercise. I actually have done it and just read about it again in a book that was starting yesterday. And the two letters are this. It goes along with goals and your big why and your future and what you can do for your business and your family life. One letter is this. Here are the things I intend to do. And if I do those things, this is my glasses. If I do those things, then I will be able to do what? I will be able to provide this life for my family and for myself in the future. The second letter is an apology to yourself and your family that says, because I didn't do these things, we now don't have this life. And then he said, you know, put them in an envelope and put them both on your refrigerator so that you can see them every day. And each day when you're questioning, what should I do with my day in regards to lead generating and all those challenges of things that we talk ourselves out of doing, look at those letters and say, which one am I choosing to do today? So I think that I always keep that in mind. I haven't forgotten that. And I might not visibly have the letters on my refrigerator, but have some kind of visual that reminds you, this is the life I wanted and intended to have, but I'm not going to if I don't do the things. So question, leading into my topic now. Who has a morning routine? Just anyone who has a morning routine they can share. Like who's a very, I don't see Christian here. I know he's a by the minute person with his day. So, and on the opposite end, who doesn't have a morning routine? Anybody? You don't have one or you have one? No, you do not. Well, go ahead, you do?
I mean, before work, I start with prayer and gratitude and affirmations. So I try to start my morning that way.
What led you to that? Like, did you read was it Miracle Morning?
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
read the Miracle
yeah,
Morning,
okay.
yes. So that I incorporated some of the things I read
Yeah.
from the book into my.
Awesome.
Basket that's passing is for the co-broke cards that we talked about at the beginning.
Or an offering.
We're taking up an offering. Yeah.
Right.
It needs to be set up as tires on their bike.
Awesome. So I am a very routine person and I love the graduation speech, the general, I can't remember his name, who said the very first thing you should do every morning is make your bed, and it's one small accomplishment. I love that, and I do. Like, if my husband was in bed longer than me, which would never happen, I would make my half of the bed because I'm just that person, when my feet hit the floor. And I have a lot of energy. You can ask Mason in the morning. He's always like, to me, take it down a couple of notches. So I definitely start my day with high energy, and I know that that affects my entire day.
Yeah.
If I start out slow, then my day is gonna continue that way. So I always start out, and I just have energy, so that also helps. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the 90-91 rule. Does anyone know what that is or follow that in any way? All right, so we're gonna jump right in. What that stands for is 90 minutes each day for 90 days with one goal in mind, and then sticking to that. So some of the things that you can do, for those of you in coaching, I uploaded a whole article about it and lots of information in the Google Drive. Others I can share with you, Mark. Number one, morning routines. Establish a consistent morning routine and stay with it. It helps you get more things done, by the way. I can't imagine like how much time people burn by not having some kind of a plan in mind, in particular in their beginning of their day. Two, prioritizing the tasks. So knowing what things you're gonna do are what's most important. So like those 4 quadrants, what's the book?
The urgent and important
Yeah,
ones?
yeah.
I forget the book.
Yeah,
but-
so anyway, some of us know what that means,
Yeah.
but what's important, what's urgent, what do I need to do now? And what can I delegate to somebody else or just abandon? and knowing what those priorities are in your day. I would also say I break those things down in my own life, personal and business. So it's two sets of things that I'm working on, so this way they don't kind of mix together. They can overlap at times because of course we all work in our car and work at home and work at the office and everywhere. But I think that you can have two sets of lists of what's important for work and for personal life. And then of course, how important it is to avoid distractions. I think that I just recently said to somebody, my phone is a communication device, which is also kind of an encyclopedia. But that's all I use my phone for, a communication device and to look stuff up, to research, whatever. I don't use it for fun. And I think so many people get sucked into this phone and lose so much time. So avoiding the distractions, meaning of your phone, and planning that. So we often heard people talk about building a moat around your time. So build a moat around your 90 minutes, the first of your day. Mindset and motivation, starting your day, and as Carly said, with gratitude, writing that down. I know Ken, who's here, is working on the 75 hard challenge. And part of that is journaling and writing down things like that, which I know was something he had never done before and is working on that now. So that just keeps you looking at, you know, important things, maybe write down quotes that you've read to keep yourself moving forward. So if you stick to something for 90 days, and I think 90 minutes, depending on how your day goes, wake up a little bit earlier. And if that's too tiring for you, then go to bed a little bit earlier. And then, you know, gives you something that's really actionable that will create some more production for you.
Good word.
So yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Gina.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Good work, team. Mr. Maley, come on up and bring us nearly home.
Yeah, it's almost that time.
Almost that time.
Hello, everyone. Ty Bailey, APHW. So pleasure for having me. Today, I'm going to talk about listing. If you've interacted with me recently, I've mentioned listing for the past several months. And that is this little section right here, listing with warranty, and for good reason. So I'm just going to share two brief stories that I have. You know, stories are always impactful. So the first one is the agent had a deal where they already agreed to a price, clear to close within 7 days. However, they agreed to an inspection contingent upon the AC, and of course, something was wrong. So we were able to step in, get that fixed, and the deal was able to close on time without any price adjustments, redoing the paperwork and everything else.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great. And then the other one I had was just last week, where there was a plumbing issue and the main stack needed fixed. However, the buyer's agent didn't trust the seller, so there was a little bit weird scenario. So what I was able to do is we were able to pay the plumber directly, and the repair was completed after close. So you can see how keeping those deals together, it's really a beneficial thing to yourself to include listing in your warranty. And we finally just got approved for the door hangers branded through KW. So they don't want everyone going out swarming neighborhoods, obviously with leadership, but we do have those now. So just make listing part of your warranty. We help keep deals together and, you know, grow your guys' business for 2024. So thanks a bunch, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, just a couple PSAs, I think. We got a CE coming up next week, septic systems and wells. I need a well and I need to better understand my house, so maybe I should come. Education Day, the week after that, again, the 4th or the last Tuesday of each month, we're doing this. We're doing open house mastery and success strategies first, and then mid-year business reset. That's gonna be with Mike Rapaski, who's the OP of the Greater Metropolitan Office. So that'll be a good one. Summer picnic is on the calendar. The Culture Committee is hard at work to plan a fun time for us. That's Saturday, August 3rd. So mark your calendars if you haven't already. And now we'll do a quick drawing and see who's getting there. Robbie, we're gonna make you the good guy or the bad guy, depending on what you think about it. Our winner is Lynette. Hey! We said you do too, so Amanda, I'll let you. Oh, peek. Mike Svetlik. Okay, all right, lucky day. Congratulations. We'll get you guys registered today. You'll get email confirmation. All right, 11:58. Boom. I don't think you guys mind any early.
It's like a first in a couple.
I think we've done it one other time. Go grab some food, hang out, and education committee at 12:30. Is that right? 12:15, 12:30? For those who wanna hang around.